Since childhood, I've been able to see the exact amount of money in someone's bank account floating above their head. At the orphanage, I use this gift to pick adoptive parents who look shabby but actually have $1 billion sitting in the bank. Unfortunately, I only get to enjoy the good life for a short time before the family's real daughter is brought home. She's furious that I've taken her place and makes it her mission to make my life miserable. In order to stay in school, I swallow every insult and endure her bullying. After finally graduating, I'm ready to walk away from this family forever. But the real daughter stops me. She's fuming as she says, "I thought my online boyfriend was a rich guy with a Ferrari, but it turns out he's just a broke loser who rides a rental bike. If he latches onto me, it'll be a stain on my reputation for life. You go meet him for me. Tell him you're the one he's been dating online." I look in the direction she's pointing and see the man she's talking about. A broke nobody, but the bank balance hovering over his head has 10 digits. I swallow hard, my heart racing as I grab the real daughter's arm in excitement. "Quick, tell me everything about your online relationship. I'll go meet him right now." Yvonne Reed let out a mocking laugh. "Seriously, Tessa, have you never seen a man before? Drooling over a broke loser?" She tossed her phone at me. "Since you're that desperate, I'll give him to you. Leave with him, and don't ever come back." I memorized every detail and walked up to him. "Hi, I'm Cindy. My real name is Tessa Reed." I smiled and held out my hand. His eyes lit up. "You're even prettier than I imagined. My real name is Calvin Fulton." Yvonne had only sent him blurry photos. Our figures were similar enough that he didn't suspect anything. When I shook his hand, I counted the numbers above his head, 10 digits, steadily increasing. If I could latch onto him, I wouldn't just escape my family. I wouldn't need to worry about anything anymore. Calvin gave me a self-conscious look. "I'm dressed shabbily, and I came on a rented bike. Are you embarrassed by me?" He wore worn-out flip-flops and cheap, threadbare clothes. Yvonne had played the part of a poor girl online. I went along with it. "All my clothes are hand-me-downs. Looks like we're both frugal." When he saw my sallow skin and thin frame, his suspicion eased. But his test wasn't over. "Let me buy you a meal," he said. He rented a bike for me, making sure I saw his old phone. I took out my own cracked phone and bought him a soda. After biking half an hour, he led me to a buffet place selling boxed meals for $15. When I froze, Calvin rubbed his hands nervously. "A whole day of delivering takeout only gets me $80. Are you going to look down on me?" My stomach growled. "Of course not. I was adopted, and my adoptive parents stopped supporting me once I got into college. I worked part-time for tuition. I usually bought cheap bread and free soup. For me, this is already luxurious." I hurried inside, piling food onto my tray. "Sweet and sour pork? Love that. Mashed potatoes? Love that. Bread rolls? Love that." Calvin followed me. When he saw how eagerly I ate, tenderness flickered in his eyes. "So you really do love this stuff." I was too busy eating to hear him. After a few bites, he put his fork down. Everything he didn't finish ended up in my stomach. When I finished, I patted my full belly. "Thanks. This was the most satisfying meal I've had all year." "Don't be so easy to please. Once I start making real money, I'll take you somewhere better." When he offered to walk me home, I waved him off. "I'm never going back there. I'll stay in a cheap hostel while I look for a job." Calvin had always been curious about Yvonne's life in their chats. She always dodged the question. So now, I spoke freely. I was adopted. A few days after they brought me home, their biological daughter was sent back. From then on, she bullied me constantly. My adoptive parents knew, they just didn't care. But they gave me food, shelter, and schooling. I'm still grateful. Calvin's hands balled into fists. "So you just put up with it." I nodded and pulled up my sleeve, showing him scars, burns, scratches, a dog bite. "It's fine. I've graduated now. Once I save enough, I'll pay them back and cut ties." "Tessa, when we started talking, I honestly thought you were just pretending to be pitiful to scam me." Now he no longer suspected me. He looked into my eyes. "If you could make one wish right now, what would it be?" I glanced at his balance. In the time we'd eaten, his assets had gone up another $5 million. Yet, he was still pretending to be broke. Asking for money was unrealistic. "I hope I can find a job soon, with room and board if possible." Calvin raised his brows mysteriously. "Maybe the universe will hear you." After thanking him for lunch, I bought him ice cream. He helped me find a cheap hostel. That evening, he treated me to dinner again. We went our separate ways. To my surprise, I got a call from a listed company's HR. "We saw your resume. You're a great fit. Would you like to come in for an interview?" I knew this came from him. The interview went smoothly. They told me to come back for onboarding. I called Calvin excitedly. "Your mouth is magic. I landed a job with a dorm and meal allowance. I have to treat you to a meal." He agreed, still in that same cheap outfit. "I haven't bought decent clothes in ages. Hope you don't mind." His balance had gone up another $80 million since yesterday. I didn't call him out. "Once I get my paycheck, I'm buying you new clothes. You can barely afford to feed yourself, and you want to buy me clothes? You were good to me, so I should be good to you." He looked touched, and it wasn't fake. From then on, I threw myself into my new job. I saw Calvin every day. We grew closer. We still ate at cheap street stalls, but he gradually relaxed. On payday, I bought him new clothes. He put them on and said seriously, "Tessa, this is only the start of your good luck." He said he'd be busy for a few days. When he finished, he'd give me a huge surprise. I didn't know what he meant. Part of me preferred him pretending to be poor. At least then we were on equal footing. If he was really some untouchable rich heir, I didn't know how I'd face him. Over the next few days, I couldn't reach Calvin. He'd text occasionally, "Be patient, wait for me." But before I saw him again, the person I least wanted to see showed up. I had no idea how Yvonne found my address. So, are you with my online boyfriend? Tell him to come here. She shoved her phone in my face. I checked the financial news. He looks exactly like the Fulton family's heir. The photo showed Calvin at an overseas event. Custom suit, $1 million watch, Rolls-Royce, bodyguards. So he really was the heir to the most powerful family in our city. I nearly burst out laughing. This rich heir had dressed shabbily and eaten cheap street food just to test his online girlfriend. Afraid Yvonne would expose me, I tried to calm her down. You're overthinking it. The first time he treated me was a $15 boxed meal. He only has one set of clothes. His slippers are falling apart. How could he be the Fulton heir? I showed her photos of us at street stalls. She scrolled for a while, then looked at my worn-out clothes. Only then did she reluctantly believe me. Makes sense. If he were rich, he'd spend money on you, and someone that high class wouldn't go for a broke nobody like you. Before leaving, she sneered, "You were born pathetic, Tessa. Trash like you belongs with losers. Don't you dare say you're from the Reed family." I swallowed my resentment. A tiny hope rose in my chest. What if one day, Calvin stood by my side and made her eat her words? I only indulged that fantasy for a few seconds. Calvin had already given me a good job. That was hitting the jackpot. How could I hope for more? I kept my head down and got through another 3 peaceful days. That day after work, I just stepped out of the company building when a Rolls-Royce suddenly pulled up right in front of me. The rear window slowly rolled down. Calvin's face, both familiar and strangely distant at the same time, appeared before my eyes. "Tessa, get in. There's something I need to talk to you about," he said. All the other employees stopped in their tracks, staring and whispering. My mind short-circuited. I couldn't believe Calvin had actually revealed his identity in front of everyone. Seeing me frozen, Calvin chuckled and opened the door, stepping out of the car. "What are you spacing out for? We've only been apart for a few days, and you've already forgotten me?" As he walked toward me with that gentle look in his eyes, my heart pounded violently. Maybe miracles really did happen. Just as I hesitated, a shrill voice suddenly rang out from behind me. "Mr. Fulton, Tessa has tricked you. She's not the real Cindy who's been chatting with you online. She's an imposter." My breath hitched, and I stiffly turned around. Yvonne came charging over. "I'm Yvonne Reed. I'm Cindy, the one who was really in an online relationship with you." When I saw Calvin's expression darken, I felt like I'd been plunged into an ice-cold abyss. All the blood drained from my face. I was done for. I wanted so badly to explain, but fear made my throat close up. Contemptuous, mocking stares closed in on me from every direction. "Look, this is my account. These are our chat logs, and these are the photos I sent you. I have tons of proof that Tessa has been lying to you." "You can't let this scammer off the hook," Yvonne cried.